So in this video, I'm going to do a cost-benefit analysis of the attack on the ship yesterday in the shipyard in Kerch. So yesterday, I'm at a football game. I'm watching the game, and I'm just trolling through the news to see what I had missed. And this was popping up in the news. It was on Twitter, and then some YouTubers, some UA-tubers were talking about it. And then I started seeing the reports in actual news to verify before I said anything. So Ukraine hit this ship. It was the Askold. It launches caliber cruise missiles. And so here's some, just a number of articles about it. It was here. It's about as far as you could possibly be in Crimea. That's where the shipyard is. And, Anton Gerdes and others were all talking about it, showing the videos about it. And so we covered the story as well. I was at this football game and I talked about it immediately. I talked about it a little bit after. Now, one of my commenters, and I can't find the comment now, went and said, well, good job, Professor. You know that this wasn't worth it. They fired 15 scalp cruise missiles in order to attack this ship, and the ship wasn't even worth what the missiles were worth. Okay, well let's look at that. Let's think through that. First, let's talk about this. This is Suchomimus, and he's talking about whether the ship was damaged, because the Russian military just said it was damaged, didn't say any more, or destroyed, or what exactly it was. So let's look at a minute
the new
of this.
satellite image from today shows signs of damage to the ship. Here it is zoomed in, a before and an after for you. Now this image isn't too clear, so let's zoom in and take a closer look and see what exactly was damaged here. So first of all, there's a fire still burning next to the ship on the pier, which I've highlighted in blue. On this image, you can see damage to the surface structure towards the front of the ship, so at least one missile hit it here. Then we have damage here highlighted. This looks to be burn damage rather than a hole, I think. Ukraine reported 3 missiles hit the ship, so we have one that hit the superstructure towards the front, one that hit on the pier. The third one could have hit one of the same piers, so another one hitting the superstructure, another one landing on the pier again, or it may have been shot down. Now we do actually have a video of a missile being intercepted, this one playing now. I can't tell if this interception is off a Storm Shadow or one of the decoy missiles which Ukraine launched, but I'm not sure if the mold decoys have the range to reach this far. But this video also confirms there were 2 impacts at least. Let's check the screenshots. So here, you can see smoke rising over the shipyard already, and then, a split second later, we see another impact shown. So at least 2 missiles hit the ship, or one hit the ship, one hit the pier.
Okay, so with that, let's stop and pause. Okay, so saying, well, this wasn't worth it, and initially the Russian military said, or the governor of Crimea said, nothing happened or nothing was hit. Everything was shot down. There was nothing. And then they came out later and said 13 out of 15 were shot down. Okay, let's just say, so something got through, something hit it. Now, what I want to do is do this. Let's look at this. These ships are designed to be armed with caliber cruise missiles, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but it's worth $34.3 million. That's how much the ship costs to produce. Okay, so that's our baseline. Now, they used Storm Shadow equivalents. The French version, they're called Scalp missiles. I don't know if they used all 15 scalp missiles or if they used decoys, as Suchomimus was talking about, but let's be conservative and say they used all 15 scalp missiles, which I don't think was the case, but let's say. That's $2,500,000 a pop. So $2,500,000 times 15, that's going to give us the 37.5 figure. So they spent 37.5 in order to shoot down or to hit and damage, destroy a ship that's only worth 33.3. So that's going to leave us with it's $4 million, $4,200,000 in the hole. And so the commenter was perhaps right. I don't know. Let's see. He was saying this in here. And by the way, the trolls were out in force yesterday. I mean, it's like they forgot about Gaza for a while and came back to talk about this. At any rate, so we could be $4,200,000 in the hole. And that doesn't sound like it's worth it until you factor some other things in. The Russians had to spend some air defense missiles, and it's not going to be the cheap ones. It's going to be probably more costly ones that can shoot down this kind of missile. So, but I can't determine exactly which missile it was or what the cost was. So we're going to just be really conservative and say $1 million a pop. We're not going to say that it's the expensive missiles. It's going to be the cheapest ones, right? And so that's 15 times 1 million, and that's going to give us 15 million, right? And then so that's going to bring us from 15 million minus the 4,200,000 back to positive $10 million just for this exercise, okay? Now, we're going to talk in round numbers. We don't know exactly what's happened. We're trying to understand it as best we can. Now, let's add to this that the missiles that are on board the ship are these caliber cruise missiles that cost 6.5 million each, and there's going to be, they can fire 8 of them. This is caliber cruise missiles, 6.5 million. They're probably on board. I don't know that they are, but if they were on board and they were damaged, that could lead us up to another $52 million. The 6.5 million times 8 of them, that's what could be on the ship, and probably was as they're retrofitting just about to put out there, but we don't know for sure. But let's say that could increase it to that. And then if you add on top of that, so like one thing on top of another will bring us to a bigger figure. Okay, and so that's going to lead us to that, plus the 10 million is going to lead us to $62 million that positive. Like if that was the case. I don't know that that was the case. But then we also don't know what we don't know, right? Like we don't know what else could have been. So for example, what I mean by that is if Russia was going to use those caliber missiles on this ship to shoot something at Ukraine, what were they going to damage? How much was the value of the thing that they were going to damage? The apartment building or the opera house or whatever it was that they were going to fire those missiles at, because Putin wanted to make some kind of political statement because he didn't like something going on, right? So we don't know the value of the $1 million apartment complex or right? So there's 8 of them. Let's just use another round numbers, and maybe there's another $8 million. I don't know that we can tag on to the existing 62 million, which would bring us up to about 70. But we don't know. This is all speculative, right? And so there's one other factor here. Well, actually, 2 other factors. So the first other factor here is we don't know how that would have been used. And we also don't know how those other 15 missiles that were shot here could have been spent, because it could have been spent one way or another. And it gets really blurry at this phase. But here's the final thought. They said, this skeptic said, well, you did that and they're going to just put out another one within a year. I don't think they can put it out within a year, because this was commissioned, the Askold was commissioned in 2016, and then finally it was completed in November 21, or at least it was launched in November 21. And what Sukhmaima said was it wasn't even used in the war effort yet. So it takes a few years to create one of these ships, and so it will slow the process down. By the way, I know some of you were asking me in the comments below, did we win the football game? Did we lose? What happened? It doesn't really matter, but we did win, and I almost missed it. By the time I got back, I just about missed the winning touchdown. So, but we did win. All right, that's neither here nor there. So that's all that I have to say. If that's helpful in understanding the cost-benefit analysis, I do videos about the war. I've done 921 since about day 85 is when I started this. So I do these daily. I keep you updated, and I hope that helps you understand. If this is helpful, please subscribe and ring that bell. I'll be back tomorrow again to try to help you understand what's going on. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.